So it is that time again, and I feel that, we have to just keep on practicing with this video. And sort of every time that I try something like this, it feels like I am maturing. It feels that I am turning into a much more mature person than I was before. And I'm starting to realize some things, and that is that, you know, it doesn't really matter if whether there are people that are gonna listen to us. It doesn't really matter if we get the supporters or whether, just the world watching us. And I don't think that it is, you know, that great to have the world watching me. And even though that is the case, that nobody is watching me as I do stuff like this, I am still gonna keep on doing it. As for whatever it is that I am hoping for, um, I don't really know. I don't really think that getting people on my side, is that important. I mean, it is really important, but you know, fame is only good if there there's money in it, and you know, stuff like these. I don't think that I am gonna be able to make a lot of money with it, and I've come to terms with that. And even though that is the case, that there won't be some miracle that is going to happen with what I am doing, I am still gonna keep on doing it just for the reason that I feel myself improving a lot as I do stuff like this. Creating videos and talking myself out. You it's an outlet for my thoughts, and I think that it allows me, to sort of practice my communication, and it allows me to try and exercise my mental framework because this is really what I am really doing it for. So I am doing this to exercise my mental framework. And, you know, people may not want to come into these videos of mine, because frankly, I do agree that the videos that I'm creating are boring and they are also lazy. They are lazily made. So I just took a video and tried to speak and see whatever it is that comes. It's a candid way of making video. And it would be unfair if I were to get ahead compared to the people who actually plan out, the videos that they're going to make, the outcome and all of that stuff. People who actually do the research, And, frankly, I don't, um, I just don't see why I should put in that much effort. You know, I mean, I know that putting effort is important into something, but why should I put it there? If it's only for the money, then, maybe that's the reason why we aren't really that great, or we don't have, you know, as much money as we have. It's because we aren't really, willing to put in the work. So I'm gonna admit that I'm not really willing to put in the work. So, I gotta confess that I guess that is the benefit, of trying to live a minimalist life, or a life that, isn't really competing, with the great people in the world. So what I'm doing is that I am purposefully trying not to keep a lot of things, so that the costs the cost of living for myself is low, and therefore, you know, I have more to spend on myself, you know, compared to when I have things. When I have people and things that I should be paying for example, relationships and, you know, cars and other stuff and stuff like those. You know, those things, have to be paid for, all of those stuff. And because I don't have all of those stuff, I don't really have to make an effort to keep them. And although that may be a pathetic way of living, it is something that I shouldn't deny. So, we believe in that being transparent is important, because it is the first step on trying to become better. Trying not to deny those ugly parts of ours. And so, yes, I guess another thing that, I wanted to complain about today is how, it's much more difficult to try and influence the way people think. And, I would have want it for people to dance around my tune, but, you know, it's not that simple, and life isn't that, you know, it isn't that simple. And, making people dance to your tune, requires you to be super manipulative, and it requires you to have a better understanding of the people around you. And that is something that I am working towards, but that's, I'm still really long ways ahead of there. So there is so much work that I should try and develop upon myself, and I'm just getting left behind and all. And so I'm not really sure if, what exactly is the best way to develop. So I'm afraid that if I go into law school, I've been thinking about it. If I go to law school, that would means I have to sacrifice a portion of my day, and that would be towards law school. And I'm afraid that, once again, my desires will be divided. I can't focus on the things that I actually want, because I have to invest in law school. So there needs to be alignment. Alignment is really important. If I were to go with law school, that would mean that the things that I would, the things that I should work on is, in alignment with all of those stuff, right? So, yeah, that's it. It needs to be aligned. And right now, it is divided. I still really want to develop this framework. However, I am afraid that, maybe I am at a dead end, because, you know, it's been a while now, and the only thing that we have really developed is, a little bit of conversation and selling, but we haven't really made some money yet. We haven't made money on the framework that I am trying to build. And that annoys me. It annoys me that, we are behind schedule so much. I mean, I started this journey at September. So that would mean it's been 6 months, you know. Although I must admit that my confidence has soared and, all other stuff too. It is good that my framework is at this level, but it is nowhere in the level that I am able to, try and get people to help me. So we're still so much far from there. The only thing that we are good at is continuing conversations, managing conversations, and starting conversations. As to being able to control the ending of a conversation, we're still not there yet. I can influence the conversation to the point that, you know, we aren't going to be in conflict. We are always going to be in agreement. But for the ending that we are going to get people to do what we want, that's far. We still have a long way to go. And so, yeah, I guess that's it for this video. It'll almost be 15 minutes, and I'll see you on the next one.